There's a quiet ache some parents carry once their kids are grown. It doesn't always come with drama. Sometimes it's just a silence, a space where there used to be closeness, a hesitation in their voice when they call, a distance that feels hard to name but easy to feel. You think about all you gave, the nights you didn't sleep, the decisions you made with love, even when they didn't understand. You remember the scraped knees and the long drives and the packed lunches and the times you said yes when it cost you. And now they barely ask how you're doing. Maybe they still love you, but the respect, that part feels like it's faded. Or maybe it was never really there in the way you hoped. That can hurt, deeply. But let me tell you something. Respect is not owed just because you're the parent, and it's not lost forever just because your relationship has changed. It's something that can be rebuilt, regained, strengthened, slowly, yes, but surely if you approach it with care and humility. This isn't about walking on eggshells or begging for their attention. This is about learning how to show up differently in this new season of your relationship? Because the truth is, the way you parented when they were 10 will not work when they're 30. What used to be authority now needs to become something more collaborative, more mutual, more human. So let's talk about what actually builds respect between you and your adult children. Not what sounds good on paper, but what works, what lasts, what honors them and honors you. One of the surest ways to lose an adult child's respect is to try to improve them when they haven't asked for your input, even if your intentions are good, even if you know what they're doing is a mistake, even if you only want what's best for them. Here's the truth. Grown children do not want to feel like projects. They want to feel like people. And if every conversation becomes a subtle critique, a correction, or a quiet disappointment in who they are or how they live, they'll start pulling away. Maybe not all at once, but over time, they'll stop calling as often. They'll stop sharing the messy parts. They'll stop opening up, because they know what's coming. Another fix, another comment, another quiet disapproval. They don't want that. They want to be accepted. Not blindly, not without boundaries, but accepted as equals in their own lives. They want to feel that you see them as adults, not as extensions of your hopes or reflections of your values. So what does it mean to stop fixing? It means you listen more than you advise. It means you let them sit in their own struggle without rushing to solve it. It means you give them space to grow on their terms, not yours. If they come to you and ask for help, that's different. When someone asks, they're opening the door. They're inviting you in. But if you keep pushing your way in uninvited, they'll eventually learn to keep the door locked. And this isn't about pretending you agree with everything they do. It's about trusting that the foundation you laid is still in there somewhere. It's about stepping back enough to let them fall, and knowing that your love is the net beneath them, not the rope pulling them around. Respect begins when your child feels seen, not sized up. It grows when they feel heard, not handled. And one of the hardest but most powerful things a parent can say to a grown child is, "I trust you to figure this out, and I'm here if you ever want to talk." That's love without control. That's support without smothering. That's guidance without guilt. That's the kind of presence that builds respect, quietly and steadily. One of the hardest habits to unlearn as a parent is needing to have the last word, especially when you've spent decades guiding, teaching, protecting. when you've lived long enough to know the patterns, when you can see trouble coming before they do. But here's the truth. With grown children, being right doesn't carry as much weight as being respectful. And when respect is missing, even good advice sounds like judgment. Your child doesn't always need to be corrected. They need to be heard. They need to be seen as capable. And if every disagreement turns into a debate, they will stop sharing the parts of their life where they feel unsure. That doesn't mean you can't speak your mind. It means you choose when and how to speak it. Not every disagreement needs to be settled. Not every viewpoint needs your response. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can say is, "I see where you're coming from, even if I don't agree." That sentence carries more power than you think. It shows maturity. It shows that you're not trying to parent them from the past, but relate to them in the present. Respect between adults is built through mutual understanding, not one-sided correction. And here's something else. When you let go of being right, you make room for curiosity. You give your child space to teach you something too, maybe about how they see the world, maybe about who they are becoming, maybe about a part of their story you never really knew. That exchange, when both people feel free to speak without fear of being shut down, that's where trust grows. So the next time you're in a conversation that starts to feel tense, take a breath. Ask yourself what matters more, being right in this moment or being someone they feel safe talking to the next time. The more they feel heard, the more they'll start listening to you too. Not out of guilt, not out of duty, but out of genuine respect. There's something powerful about hearing a parent say, "I was wrong." For a grown child, those words can break through years of silence. They can soften resentment. They can open doors that were quietly shut a long time ago. But many parents struggle to say them, not because they don't care, but because it's hard to revisit the past. It's hard to look back and admit you could have done better, especially when you know you were doing your best at the time. Still, owning your part in the relationship is not weakness. It is strength. It tells your child that you are still growing, that you are willing to reflect, that your love is not defensive, it is humble. And here's the key. A real apology is not about explaining your reasons. It is about acknowledging their experience. If your child says they felt ignored or dismissed or controlled at certain points in their life, the most healing thing you can say is not, "I did that because I had to." It is, "I can see how that hurt you, and I am sorry." That doesn't erase the past. It doesn't undo the choices that were made. But it does say, "I care more about your heart than my pride." It says, "I am not here to win the argument. I am here to rebuild what matters." Apologizing well also means not rushing the outcome. You do it because it's right, not because you expect instant forgiveness or a perfect response. Sometimes it takes time for an apology to settle, but the fact that you were willing to say it without conditions, that stays with them. It earns something more valuable than control. It earns respect. You cannot change the years that came before, but you can shape the relationship you have now. And one honest apology, spoken with sincerity and no excuses, can be the first step toward that. Even a sentence as simple as, "I wish I had handled that differently," can shift the entire tone between you. It tells your child, "I see you, I hear you, and I care about how you remember our story." That kind of presence is what grown children remember. Not perfection, not performance, but the willingness to meet them as equals and say, I want this relationship to heal, and I am willing to do my part. Somewhere along the way, many parents were taught that respect should come automatically, that it's something children owe simply because of biology or years lived. But the truth is, respect that's demanded tends to fade. Respect that's modeled tends to grow. If you want your grown children to treat you with care, you have to offer that same care in return, not in a way that erases your authority or diminishes your wisdom, but in a way that honors who they are now. Because once your child becomes an adult, they're not just your son or daughter. They're also a person, one with a life you don't fully control, one with boundaries, one with a past that shaped them, and a future they're trying to build. Respect means you treat their time as valuable. It means you listen without interrupting. It means you speak to them as someone you value, not someone who owes you obedience. It might look like asking, is now a good time to talk, rather than launching into a topic they are not ready for. It might look like knocking before walking into their space. It might look like saying thank you when they help you with something, even if it feels small. These things matter. Adults notice them, and over time, these small gestures build trust. Respect also means not using guilt to get closeness. Statements like, you never call anymore, or I guess you're too busy for me now, don't bring anyone closer. They push people away. Because behind those words is a quiet resentment. And grown children feel that more than they hear the words themselves. Instead, say what you actually mean. I miss you. I would love to hear your voice. That kind of honesty invites connection rather than demands it. If you want respect, offer it first. Not because it guarantees anything, but because it creates the space where mutual respect can grow. When your child feels safe, seen, and respected, they naturally begin to return that same energy. Maybe not overnight, maybe not perfectly, but they begin to feel that this relationship is one where they can exhale, one where they can show up fully, one where they do not have to brace for judgment every time they speak. That is what creates respect that lasts. Not fear, not obligation, but mutual care. And the beautiful thing is, once respect is mutual, closeness tends to follow. Conversations go deeper, time together feels lighter, and something new starts to take root. A friendship between parent and adult child. One built not on old roles, but on current trust. Your child will grow into someone you did not raise. That is the nature of growing up. It is not an insult to your parenting. It is proof that they are evolving. And if you want their respect, you have to allow space for that evolution. They may develop beliefs you do not share. They may raise their children differently than you raised them. They may choose relationships, careers, or ways of living that you did not expect or even fully understand. But here is the truth. If your respect for them is conditional on how closely they mirror your own path, it will never feel like respect to them. It will feel like quiet rejection. Let them become who they are becoming. Let them make choices that reflect their season, not your history. Let them grow past the version of them you knew, even if it is uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that your relationship is entering a new stage, one that can be richer if you let it be. You do not have to understand every part of their life to support it. You do not have to agree with every decision to remain close. You just have to remain open, curious, present, and willing to trust that their path does not need your approval to be worthy of love. When your children were young, showing up often meant doing. You were the one who stepped in, who organized, who solved problems, who made things happen. That was your role. That was how you protected and loved. But now the most powerful way to show up is not by fixing, but by witnessing, by being steady, by offering presence, not pressure, by asking, "What do you need from me right now?" instead of assuming you already know. Grown children may not need your help in the same ways, but they still need your presence. They still need to know that when life gets hard, you are not going to take over. You are going to stand beside them. It is tempting to swoop in, especially when you see them struggling. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back and say, "I trust you. I'm here if you want support. But I won't take the wheel unless you hand it to me." That kind of support is rare, and it is deeply respected. It says, "I see your strength. I believe in your ability. I know you are capable of leading your own life." Respect also comes from interest, not the surface kind, the deep kind, the kind that says, "I want to understand the person you've become, not just the child I remember." Ask questions, not to interrogate, but to learn. What are you reading lately? What do you care about these days? What matters to you that maybe I haven't asked about before? When you show curiosity, you create connection. You show your child that you are not stuck in the past, that you are willing to keep learning them even as they change. You do not need to love every interest they have. You just need to show that you care about what they care about. That kind of listening builds bridges where silence once stood. It creates space for real conversations, ones that move beyond weather and logistics and into the heart of things. Maybe your relationship with your child is strained. Maybe it has been years since things felt easy. That does not mean it is beyond repair, but it does mean you may need to rebuild slowly. Start small. A short message, a simple question, a reminder that you are thinking of them without expecting anything in return. Let them see that you are not trying to reopen old wounds, but trying to open new space. Do not rush. Do not push. Let trust rebuild at the pace they need, not the pace you prefer. And do not mistake silence for rejection. Sometimes the healing is happening in ways you cannot see yet. Stay steady. Keep your heart open. Let your actions show that you are safe, even if your words have not landed well in the past. Over time, consistency becomes proof. Proof that you are still here, still invested, still willing to love without conditions. If you have read this far, I already know something about you. You care. You want to grow. You want to love your child in a way that makes room for who they are now, not just who they were. That willingness alone is a quiet kind of strength, and I hope you can see that it matters. More than any perfect words, more than any flawless parenting, you are allowed to change. You are allowed to repair. You are allowed to learn new ways to connect. And your child? They may not say it often, but they are watching. They are noticing. They are absorbing the way you show up. And every time you lead with humility, with curiosity, with love, they feel it. You may not control how they respond, but you do control how you show up. And when you show up as someone who is present, who listens, who respects them as an equal, something powerful happens. You become someone they want to be around, not because they have to, not because they owe it to you, but because they respect you. And that kind of respect is the kind that lasts. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep choosing love over ego. And watch what grows from that place. Your story with your child is still being written, and the next chapter can be better than the one before.